Yeah. Do you think? Good morning. How are you guys? This morning should be pretty fun. One of my best friends, People Wish, Alec, is going to be on with us here momentarily. So it should be fun conversation. So Uber, I noticed nice little gap up this morning. They are officially live and running Waymo in Atlanta. Yeah, I saw that news. I mean, I kind of like the news. I think that news was, it seems pretty good to me. I don't know that it's playable just yet. I'm going to wait for the open. Right. I mean, I don't know if you remember, Gabo, anything about the last 3 weeks, but very rare have we just been getting these, where it just takes off on you first 5 minutes. Think about it like something like Tesla, right? Where you're looking at the first 5 minutes and, you're going to get this 5-minute opening range break, right? So the market will print its first 5 minutes and then you can just come in right after the first 5 minutes on the first 5-minute opening range break. Does Uber play out something similar? I don't know. But let's bring on my buddy Alec and ask him actually. Mr. People Wish, nice to have you on stage, sir.
Yo, what up? Good morning.
How would you treat, good morning, man. How would you treat something like Uber if you thought that this news was buyable? Like, how do you normally find yourself playing like this? Do you care about a 5-minute opening range break? Do you just buy it as soon as it's taking out the pivot that you're normally playing? What do you normally do in a situation like this?
I'm looking at the chart right now. So I have a daily chart up, and then I have
Here, I'll pull yours up. Let me remove mine from the screen. There we go.
So I have like this left side peak at 87,
Yep.
Which is the line, and it's coinciding with this dashed orange line on my right screen, which is the 30-day SMA. Ideally, I don't know. Like for me, I'd like to see it just come back down and retest. It's gapping up. It's gapping, well over yesterday's close, obviously, through left side peak, through a moving average. The 10-day SMA is still below. We need some moving average untangling, so to speak. So suggestive of more sideways. I wouldn't be very interested in just like buying like a bullish thrust. You may get one, but I'd much rather see it come down and like touch 87 again by like a washout long against that support. That makes sense, but it's good news for sure. I mean, they had to do something with, with Elon.
Tesla hot on their heels. Although, like Waymo, I feel like Tesla would just tap into that network too.
Yeah.
Right. Like, is Tesla just supposed to create their own, hailing cab app, or is people just still going to be like, I need an Uber.
The thing is, they'll just copy it. Like, it's not that, I don't think it's that complicated to start to make an app. Like, I don't think it's going to be that complicated. I mean,
so if it's not that complicated, how come Lyft sucks?
I don't know, because they took a different approach, different taste, I suppose, right? Maybe they're just not paying attention to how users use their app. But yeah, no, I agree. I don't like Lyft. Maybe it's just the color scheme in and of itself, right? Like there's all sorts of things that, can play into it. But yeah, Elon's going to build his own. He's got X, right? He's got a whole team of like the world's best devs, and he's got XAI. So probably one dude will vibe code the whole thing.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah,
I'll
that's
get big
probably
balls to vibe code the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's probably how it ends up going with Elon. Side topic: I am kind of watching gold pull back a little bit and breaking the 50 simple moving average. So for the first time
Oh
in
yeah.
quite a while, does it do something similar to what we saw in mid-May, or does it get its ass kicked? I mean, I don't really know. It's like the gold stocks themselves don't look too bad, but at this point, gold, silver, and crude oil are being disrespected here. So,
I can tell you
maybe,
what I see from a technical chart perspective.
yeah. What do you think?
So, I mean, obviously, like the red bars outweigh the green bars. So we can say that there's probably some distribution going on. Gold is up a lot. I
A
mean, it's
lot
been straight up, right? Like the monthly, no monthly candles closed below the 5-day SMA
for a
in
year.
over a year, 15 months, right? So I think it's definitely due for a rest. And also we have like on the MACD, we have this pretty pronounced bear divergence. So like momentum seriously slowing. It's like a topping base sort of thing. And I'm sure, COT data says something different as we've discussed, but that doesn't mean it has to go back to nothing. But it looks like it's in for a rest, does it not? Or at least a lot more sideways.
Yeah, a lot more sideways. I would agree with that. And again, for me, normally good above the 50, bad below. So right now we're below that 50, and I try to not mess with things below it. I don't want to apply my opinion to something that's not acting the best. Somebody does want to know your opinion on TMC here.
I was actually looking at it the other day on stream. I mean, it's a really strong chart. I can tell you the days that you should have bought it on. It would have been here, which one of our members in our group bought it on what was it, 8/12, and he actually held it through this crappy gap down day, and he got rewarded, which is great. I mean, the only sort of trades here are now like really short-term, high momentum trades. Like this is technically a setup, but like you're not going to be able to get long and hold this thing for weeks comfortably with any meaningful size. It's a really strong chart, but I mean, let's just face it. In the last, from this day to the highs, it's up 72% in 7 bars. So it wouldn't be like a really, like it wouldn't be a medium hold or a long-term hold, like in terms of how like Ariel and I would view it from a swing trading perspective, but you definitely could get, a momentum burst out of it. I would just be careful with it. Small size, almost treat it like a day trade, trail like an hourly average or something. That's how I had approached it. But I mean, it's nice. It wicked perfectly off the 5. Let's see how it looks intraday. Let's look at like the hourly. I mean, it's got like this nice little hourly flag on. Let me get rid of the pre-market because that data is irrelevant. It's got like this little wedge thing, and then it's got like this high volume hourly close. So like you could buy it through 675 if you're so inclined and you think TMC is the next hottest thing. It's going higher.
Yeah, for me, it should be moving with MP. So if MP continues to act well, you can kind of see recently this MP has been massive on a big pickup in volume. So, they're kind of both moving recently in lockstep, even better volume in a MP, but really TMC has been pretty good even since, I mean, it cleared the 200 on big volume in January and then digested pretty well and then gapped up on what looked like good volume back in February and then broke this little, consolidation, on 515, 516 right after earnings. So earnings weren't taken poorly. And then again on 616, I mean, it's been a fairly constructive chart a handful of times, but I do agree with you. We are now quite the ways away from the 50. You're 70% above the 50 simple moving average at this point.
It's up there, dude. Yeah, it's up there. And if you look at the APTR, the average is 12.5.
Yeah.
So, 70 divided by 10, that's 7. It's like
it's like 6 times its average true range from the 50. It's getting up there.
Yeah, so it's really just like, in my opinion, it's a day trader. It needs more flag, a lot more time sideways. But strong chart, awesome chart.
Yeah, see, Dan, I definitely agree. GEV looks nice, but we went through one of these periods a few months ago, right? And I'm not saying that it can't go higher, but I'm sure you remember this trend over here where this thing seemingly went higher every single day. And then what ends up happening is you start to get this pause, and not even a super long one for a GEV, but really it's best if the 50 simple would catch up. Obviously, this was DeepSeek, so nobody could have seen that coming, and that totally sucks. But, you kind of start to get a bit extended from the 50 as well. You're going to kind of start to run out of power, even though they're a utility company. No,
Good one.
No pun intended.
You know what it looks like, Ariel, right now? Look at the first circle I have. So, like, remember, this is 9/11, right? So remember all those moves that happened like 9/11? So we had like this beach ball day, like Dual did this, GV did this, whole bunch of like kind of techie energy names and other spec names did this, but it made a huge move up, like 100% up. And then it put this flag in, right? So like, remember this flag, and then now look at it here.
Yeah. Ideally, the 50 catches up and it looks a bit more like that November through end of December. If it just allowed the 50 to catch up, that's kind of what it would look like.
I'm curious to see what the 50 was back then. So back then it was 25% away. Now it's, wow, 18% away. Less.
Yeah, less. Yeah. But it's, it's been doing a nice job going sideways. So it's digested fairly well here.
This move is 100% in 56 days. The move from the low here, let's say 80%. I don't know. That's an insane move. The chart is so linear. What a freaking move, man.
I mean, twice.
Unbelievable.
Twice, from earnings too, which is why, you and I have discussed this privately. This is why you pay attention to names that are winning on earnings, because they can just win for a full quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters. Nobody really knows, but real earnings winners can go for, 6, 7, 8 quarters. I mean, look at NVIDIA.
You know me, I'm still kicking myself. Like all the stocks that have made the biggest moves and are the leaders now all had this exact double bottom, undercut.
Double bottom, yep.
Every single one. I caught this first move.
Yeah, Hood, CrowdStrike, Netflix, Spotify, all of them.
CEG, probably VST. If we're looking at VST, look, every single, and it's the exact same.
Yeah, we talked about this. I mean, SR in the room caught Hood at 35. I didn't try buying it till 50. Netflix came on my radar as an undercut and rally at 854. Now you're at 1200. I mean, they're the same damn setups.
Netflix was the first one. That should have
Netflix was the first one. 854. Yeah. It was gore. I mean,
identical.
Does it get any better than that?
Down here, I don't know what. I just must have been asleep at the wheel. It was the whole tariff news, and it was like the headline risk and like all of that. And the problem is, as much as your mind wants to like attach to the headlines, price is all that matters.
Yeah.
And it literally undercut. I mean, it's like the cleanest undercut and rally as a chart theme across the market that I've ever seen. I've never seen this chart theme be so prolific throughout the market in my career trading.
What you just said also feels important for the flip side too, right? For instance, when the news was super, super bad, stocks started to turn up, undercut and rallies, and then head north. Even, but there's tariff news and there's whatever the hell's going on, so much uncertainty. But then now the flip side of that could very well be true. And I'm not saying to be negative because banks and semiconductors are acting so well. But when there's now this good news, kind of hitting the market, which is potentially, World War III was averted, crude oil's coming back down. The last thing we really want to be seeing at this point is stocks on a day like today fail, right? That would be a big expectation breaker if the stock market were to go red on the day and then fail another, 0.5% or 1% from there.
Yeah, today has to be a follow through day. If we're looking at, NQ, which is my
preferred
trade it. Yeah. I mean, we're already following through like tremendously.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. What else do you want to look at, Ariel?
Well, somebody's got would we consider Shop as a buy for a swing? And, I already got stopped out of Shop, but I got love for Kathy Wood, so I am keeping my eye on it. I got my shirt coming in soon for anybody wondering. I will be rocking the Kathy Montage vintage.
So I can tell you my problems with it.
Yeah, let me hear it.
I view Shop as more of a investment sort of stock as opposed to like a trading vehicle. And the primary reason just has to do with does it have a history of making like big linear moves that aren't like a headache? So in the last year, it has not. It's just basically building this big sloppy range. There's no real clean level anywhere. I do think Shop will likely continue to go higher, just based off of my understanding of the company and whatnot. But from like a technical momentum swing perspective, it's just what I call a chaos stock. If you have to go higher on the time frame to make the chart look better, like that's not great, you know? So like on the weekly, it looks tighter, right? Like we perfectly wicked off the 10-day weekly simple moving, or the 10-week simple moving average, but the daily is just like chaos. You just don't have clean moves. So down here, when you kind of have that gap down panic, like this was like the cleanest move it's made, like in this entire chart history. We can go back even further and let's just see if it has any history of making clean moves to the upside.
You have to go back to like 2020, 2019.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, way back in the day, and it did, but like it didn't really break out from like our traditional flag very well. It's
No,
like
it didn't.
bottoming sort of setups where it worked the best. So like as a trading vehicle, probably not, but it is shaping up. It is shaping up. Like it could go higher today. Like, you know, like it could go higher today. I don't know. It's too slow even for my account. So yeah, like it doesn't even really come up on my scans.
Well, that's fair. All right, let me pivot really quickly because I see this thing kind of keeps trickling lower. What are your thoughts on the recent IPOs with Circle and CoreWeave, in particular Circle coming down quite a bit this morning, about almost 20 points already in pre-market?
First and foremost, let me start with CoreWeave because it was first. CoreWeave is the momentum monster of this cycle. I mean, it is just the poster child of what we want to see and super high momentum names. Such a clean linear move. It still has not closed below the 10-day SMA. So if you were to buy it just on this IPO kind of high,
yep, made 100% plus move.
You're up 160%, and you're still in the dang thing. Okay, for one. Now Circle is number two. This move's also incredible. It's hyper extended. One of them needs to give, and it's obviously giving now. I don't know. I don't know what happens. I'm more so interested in what we were talking about, Ariel, before we hopped on stream. Yep. What are the implications? How will the market act around other speculative names? And, you know, similar to how the market continued higher on seemingly the worst news, World War III threats, Iran striking Qatar, all those things, it actually went higher. Like if Circle just dumps, what happens to the other spec names? Hopefully they hold, but if they all dump with Circle, which I don't think is going to be the case, I think it'll probably be in a vacuum. We're good. I mean, things are looking good. I wish I was long it personally, but yeah, amazing move. It's going to give a great short eventually. It hasn't met my short criteria. I need to like gap.
One more day like yesterday would have been perfect in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, but if it would have closed near the highs and then gapped above 300, that would have been spectacular. But again, you could see it in pre-market. We're coming under some pressure, which is in my opinion, the most ideal scenario. And of course, they don't make it easy. And you're now like at a point where even pops in the morning are starting to be met with more selling. Yeah. How high is that? How much higher do you have to go to get back to highs?
23.5.
Yeah. That's nuts, right?
Yeah.
That would be a hell of a move in itself to try and go retest highs, in my opinion.
It would. I mean, if it did that, it would. I don't know. Do you even short it because it's just such crazy strength?
You probably should. I would. I mean, I would have a hard time seeing it get back there right today. I mean, personally, not that it can't, but dude, 23% move like it didn't happen. Even for the thing to just go green on the day, we have to go where to close 63. we have to go, what is this, 10% effectively? Dude, we're talking 10% nowadays as if it's nothing. That's kind of where we've gotten to on $280 stocks, like people would kill for a 10% move.
So this is a decent level, 250. So it failed 300, right? So 300, big round number. The next one down, 250. And it just so happens to be last week's high. So we just kind of fell below 250 in pre-market. I got 248, but whatever. We're below 250. So like if the thing like washed out super hard at open, say it like washed out, and my dashed red line is previous low day. Say it washed down, undercut, kind of reclaimed, and then rallied into 250, which VWAP would probably be about there by that time. That would be a great level to try a short against if you think that this is the start of a move lower, and you can like risk off like this, pre-market low, or give it whatever your typical 1% or something. Mm-hmm. But that would be, I think a decent approach to it if you really think that a short here is great. I could see it just flushing though and washing out below this previous low day.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're right there, 230, 248, and then do you just consolidate right near that level and then go for the next leg lower? I'm not sure, but also as this being Kathy's 9th or 10th largest holding now, I know she has trimmed some into the strength. It does start to make me always question. I mean, you look at ARC and then you say to yourself, look at left side peak. and then I of course, I want to be the ultimate optimist because I am long from $59, but at the same time, I do want to be thoughtful that, hey, this thing effectively has ran right off the lows from 40 to 70 in basically a straight line. So,
and I think one thing that'll help you, because I see the same thing over and over, but guess what? We saw the same thing with Netflix. It kept going. We saw the same thing with Hood. It kept going. We saw the same thing
with Rubric too.
Yeah, all of them, right? Like strongest ones just keep going. Like one that I've been watching is what is it? CRDO. It's right there too.
Yeah, CRDO. Yeah,
it's right there too.
I haven't been able to get positioned in this thing at all. I've been watching it every single day since earnings. I guess buying the pullback against the 10 was decent, but after it put in a little inside day on 611, then buying it outside of the inside day on 611, I guess.
This was I know. I hear you. This was my spot. It's the high volume close.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yep,
Going way back.
Yeah. And then I would have bought it either on this day, which was 611, or.
So 70.69 is the spot you were watching, is what you're saying.
Whatever that close is.
Yeah. 70.69. That would have put you. Okay. So you would have been buying it on 611 as kind of, it was still in the next day. The next day. All right. I don't hate that because then you're kind of using that 10 simple moving average as your line in the sand anyway.
Exactly. And you have this recent gap level. It's held the recent gap level. It corresponds with the high volume close 3 quarters ago, which is essentially a left side peak. It's not literal, but it's the start of this new chapter, right? But yeah, anyways, it's like a big undercut and rally of that level, and look where it is now. Now
many people have gotten left out of this name because of that tragedy.
I know. They're just scarred.
Everybody was super bullish CRDO in 2023. Oh man. Can you imagine that?
Oh my God.
Well, that's almost like waking up to a HIMSS, but not as bad.
Pre 24/5.
But dude, HIMSS yesterday, that was brutal. That wasn't cool what they did to HIMSS yesterday. Well, Novartis needs to be checked for that. We need to make sure that they didn't have no live puts.
We found out why the short float is so high.
Because everybody knew this news was coming.
That's just why you just don't anticipate a breakout. I preach not anticipating and not buying in a range, probably more than anyone. But lo and behold, I had just had 2 really big winners on HIMSS, front side of the move, the NBO partnership news, and then the earnings, which is honestly more important. And then the previous earnings cycle, where actually you and I practically had the same average, which is just a terrific move. I'm like, all right, I'm going to front run it. I'm going to accumulate. I had a pretty big position across several accounts, and it ended up being a seven-figure loss. And all I had to do was just not break like my key rule, my number one rule of like, don't accumulate in a range. All I had to do, I would have avoided that.
Yeah. Well, that's how we learn, man. Mistakes still get made no matter how good you are. So it doesn't really matter, lessons learned and we move on.
It's one thing if it was a mistake. It's another thing if it was a conscious disregard for my key rule. It's like, who do you think you are? Like you're gonna override what's gotten you to this point. Not a great idea. Anyway.
All right, 2 quick questions here. Yeah. What do you think of? Okay, first, Joss, net is still too extended. That's just number one. I can just tell you by eyeballing it, way too extended from the 50. No clean setup here on the daily at all. And then secondly, what do we think of Oklo and what do we think of Sezzle?
Sezzle.
The Sezzler.
Yeah, so let's look at Oklo.
I mean, the Minnesota NBA finals are over, so they got no more advertising.
Oh, really? Is that where
they were on the jersey for the Timberwolves?
First of all, SEZL was the strongest EP of last season. It has from EP, or it is now officially an EP, in my opinion. And it was the strongest earnings reaction and continuation of last season. It was a 3-to-1 actual EPS to estimated EPS. So we have triple digit beat there, and highest volume ever on the expansion candle, as you see. And this thing's just been straight up. Like it's giving you no room to get in. It's just pure accumulation, volume sustained. Awesome move. Unbelievable. You can't even ask for better, right? It's up 300% in a straight line. All right. What you do now, you can't do anything. I mean, you can't do anything. It's completely gone. It needs to go sideways for some time. If you're so inclined and you just have some crazy thesis or conviction that it's going to go higher from a technical perspective, I would try to buy it off the moving average that it's trailing. But again, I don't have that. It's off limits. I'm just watching as it's like one of the, it's the 10th wonder of the world now to me, because this is just an incredible move. Same with Dave and a few others, but Sezzle is clearly the winner. Oklo, I think nuclear is going to really have its day on watch. For me, today even is NNE. It's a little wide and loose and super choppy in this range, but it has a real clear level. I would buy a slightly smaller size and hold it, but I like Oklo. It's an undercut and rally of the left side peak right now. The MACD is all out of whack. It needs to go sideways, but imagine if it goes sideways and gets tight and then presses this 59 level with a tight day, allowing the 50 to catch up. It could look good. I want to see it hold this level. I want to see it generally hold above 50 and just consolidate, let the moving averages catch up. The 5 is coming down sharply. Like the moving averages are all going like this, right? And then you have the fastest one coming down. I want to see them go like this, and then really kind of even out and start all ramping together in, I guess, in harmony, like down here. Right. And you may need a lot of time to get that. But this is just too much of a pullback for me to say it's a continuation setup. It should have held better.
Hopefully by the time that happens, it takes long enough that Oklo is actually making some money.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole other thing, it's literally a pure spec play right now. But, with the advent of AI and just
could be good. And we need it. Yeah. We need power. That's a fact.
For sure.
And so long as a CEG, which by the way had a really nice setup yesterday to go higher, and so long as a CEG and a VST, again, obviously that red kill bar is never fun. They're never fun to look at, but that was good meta news. But you could really see how tight of a day it put in on Friday, and it gives you like a nice low risk spot to get in off of, basically. See
what I did there, Ariel?
What'd you do? You just removed it.
Removed it because it's going to influence your decision making, and really it's an anomaly.
And it was on good news too, but also the stock was quite a bit extended at that point. So, I don't think it's actually that big a deal. That was just profit takers. I don't think that there's a bunch of shorts piling in there, and stock didn't die. It just got reaccumulated, and very tight day on Friday. Looks great.
Just another one of the same. Like if the chart doesn't look like this, it's either a laggard or it's irrelevant. or it's something new starting. So like if you look at what was the one the other day? It's a semi ALAB.
Yeah. Oh man, ALAB last 2 days kind of nasty.
But look, this pattern is very very similar to what we've seen across the board, right? This big washout from tariff news, the undercut and rally, double bottom. But look where it is, and it's flagged. It's way behind. Like all the leaders have flagged, and they've been broken out. They're putting in flag number 2.
Yep.
ALAB is putting in flag number 1, and amongst its peers, in the semi space, it's clearly a laggard, right? Comparatively speaking. Mm-hmm. And look what happened. It failed 100. I mean, this is a classic failed breakout. I even had buy some ALAB 10%. I didn't, thankfully. But yeah, no bueno.
Yeah, Rocket Lab looks ready. God, I kind of tongue in cheeked it when I said bullish ASTS and Rocket Lab because SpaceX rocket blew up. I was kind of, being a bit of a dick when I said it, but it was true in a way. You get the main competitors rocket blowing up. It's good for the underlings. Like they still got a chance to compete. If Elon's rockets were flawless every day, all day, Rocket Lab looks ready for all-time high. I wouldn't buy it here unless you bought it yesterday or the day prior.
Yeah, I bought it at 30.86 yesterday.
What are your thoughts on NBIS? Strata, before we get there into it, I think it's a little extended for considering how slow it actually is. It's about 10% away from its 50-day moving average, 12%, and it moves 1.5% per day. So, if you want to maybe tell your grandfather about this one because it's a little bit slower, and then you'll get a really nice Christmas present next year when it's up 16% from here. It's just too damn slow, Strata. You don't want to be in this turd. It looks really nice, but slow as ever. Did break out of a massive base, though. I will say that for Intuit. But yeah, NBIS, give me some thoughts. I actually think it looks pretty dang decent.
So I own it in my main account from down here, like 38-ish.
Yeah.
I bought it in with some of the other buying power yesterday. Off of the 20. So I have Oklo on the right and I have NBS on the left. Their business.
Oh, wow. They look super similar. I would have almost for a second, it took me a second glance to realize that they're definitely not the same chart.
Right. And they're completely different businesses, right? But they are in the speculative bucket. And so to me, it's like it shows the degree of
correlation
it may be. But it's the same setup. But what I like better and why I didn't take Oklo yesterday is because NBIS cleanly wicked off the 20. So my average is 46.25. Bought it yesterday. And Oklo I passed on because it opened and it just flushed below the 20 and it couldn't reclaim it all day long. While NBIS did. So I think it's fine. Really, the real level, though, my dip buy was a cheat. But you essentially have these two levels. So this bar.
The high volume close.
Yep. So you have the high volume close, and that's where I bought it yesterday. So 46.25, and the high volume close is 46.38. The next level up is this left side peak, and you kind of really got to wait for that, in my opinion. What do you think, Ariel?
I mean, I actually think it looks good. I kind of ran it through the bot yesterday, and we are not extended from the 50 simple considering how quickly it moves. I think we're only about 5 times its ATR from the 50, which is pretty dang good. And today it should actually be a little bit tighter because of that. So I think it looks really good personally. For speculative, how can we hate it, right? I mean, this is exactly how these names move. They're not going to get, sometimes with these more speculative names, you kind of have to think beyond the setup, right? And you're not going to get these perfect sideways digestions. You're not going to get these beautiful little bull flags like an AVGO. You're not going to get like even a JP Morgan, right? Like you look at JP Morgan and you're just like, okay, yeah, that's clean, right? On the daily. By the way, I owned it at $168 and I'm totally kicking myself because I got kicked out of JPM, which sucks, but
I agree with what you're saying. NBIS here, kind of fugly. Like we wouldn't say this is beautiful by any means.
Nope. Yeah, they're not, these small caps are never beautiful, dude, but they end up working because they're just, people aren't waiting for them, dude. They're smaller float, they're thinner, there's a bunch of retail, but then you think about JP Morgan on the flip side of that. There's not retail trading that thing. The only retail trading that thing might be me.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, I forgot this point. Another reason why I bought it off the 20 and going back through that high volume closes, look at where after its first move up, it found support on the 20 and it surfed it basically 3 days in a row before reclaiming the 5 and 10 and moving higher, right? So this is the logical next step. I'm kind of been thinking a lot through this recently, and we have like these things, we call them higher lows, right? But it's like a moving average higher low. So if it found support on the 20 and then higher, it finds support on the 20. But if it were to find support on the 30, technically it's still a higher low from a candlestick perspective, but it's a lower high in terms of finding support on the moving average. And it's something that I've been playing with and just thinking through. But the logical spot to try would have been where it found support prior. And if you look way down here, this hammer candle was kind of the first clue as it broke the downtrend, found support, or popped up, found support on the 20, found support on the 20, found support on the 20, and voila, found support on the 20. Moving averages are just dynamic trend lines at the end of the day. So
here's a pretty good question here.
Yeah.
He goes, how do you guys play moves off key moving averages? Do you need the previous day's price to be tight, small candle? And I'll go first quickly. I actually don't need the prior day to be super tight. There are days when price is coming into that key moving average that then I'll zoom in on the intraday and I'll say, hey, this is coming into the 20. Are we going to bounce from that level? And then I take it down to a 5-minute chart and I look for that reversal off that 5-minute chart. And I look for what's called the 620 setup taught by Gil Morales, just to give the man some credit. And so I'm effectively looking for a reversal off of a key moving average. And then if I want to buy it as a higher low setup, I would then come in over that bounce day's high, effectively playing it over prior day high. And then I could be using either that day's low of day, or depending on the stock's ADR or ATR, I could be using that bounce day's low of day. Again, if that bounce day's low of day is 3% away and I got a 10% position, then I already know my stop. No big deal. How do you view that, Alec?
I agree with you. And I sketched out your exact entry. If you would have taken it yesterday, you had this big washout into 20. If you were watching it, I already know Ariel and I, we've been trading together for so long. I know how he trades better than any other human alive.
Yep.
And vice versa, by the way. He knows what positions I'm entering without me even announcing.
That's funny.
He'll text me later and say, hey, or we'll talk or whatever and be like, oh, did you buy this or whatever? And he already knows because I did. But what he's talking about is this 620 here. So if you look at the MACD, I have this little green up arrow, and I'm drawing this red vertical line so that you can see it. I'm going to remove it now, though. So Ariel would have bought it right here on this expansion candle out of this flag. It wicked off the low perfectly. The 20 would be a little higher. It's just a day later. That's why it's where it is now. But and then he would have bought this candle and he would have been jolly. And then he pushed through the high volume close, more conviction. It would have been a perfect entry. That's essentially what I did yesterday. I was watching it. I just got lucky, right place, right time. But that's how Ariel would enter. That's how I would enter. And the beauty, and I think this may be a really good thing for especially newer momentum traders, Ariel, is buying off of the moving average that the stock is respecting most is a really just kind of good, consistent entry. Because if it were to go just a couple bucks lower, what are you doing? You're stopping out. You have such a tight, well-defined stop. And in these spots, price is most likely to move away from your average quickly, which it did. Oh, dude, it was an instant reversal.
And the best part too is you're aligning that buy. You're not just like randomly buying it. I'm also watching the market. So I'm watching the NQ start to ramp. I'm watching the S&P 500 start to ramp. If the stock is going to ramp, it's going to have to do it with the help of the market, right? I'm not just going to watch the market get obliterated. Yeah, when did the market start to turn? Right there as well.
I have chart crosshairs synced so you can see the left and right. I'm going to hover over. Look at that. Identical. NQ on the right, NBIS on the left.
Yeah. So there you go. And you get that setup where it bounces off the 20 and it's a name you already want to own. It's getting less extended. And then all of a sudden you're watching the market. And it's one of those things too, where like, if it's in a similar group as well, even better, because now you might have a few other stocks to keep an eye on too. Like for discussion's sake, let's say it's a semiconductor. Well, if it's a semiconductor and you're buying that and it's an AVGO, call it, well, how's NVIDIA acting? How's AMD acting? How's KLAC acting? How's, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how are these others acting?
Or AVGO.
Yeah, there's AVGO, and there's your 620 setup as it was getting, nice and tight. And then, kaboom.
Right off the 20.
Right off the 20. And so, again, it's really no different. It really doesn't matter what the hell you're buying. And I always tell people, like, time your buys with the market, because if the market were just going down and down and down and down, and you think you're going to get some kind of a cushion on your stock while the market's going down, it's way less likely than you getting that cushion when the market's actually going up. So, great question.
That is a great question. I'm curious if NQ gave the 620 before the others, like if it front ran them. So like if the index gives a 620 first and is leading, that's great. I wonder if the same concept though applies where it's like leaders bottom before the market, Like
they can, yeah. Or when the market has bottomed and starts to turn up, it really goes higher because it just never pulled back as much, right? So there's not nearly as much overhead supply. So, in a way, they have not only bottomed before the market, they're also pulling back less than the market. Like, yes, they're pulling back, they're just not pulling back as much.
Yeah, so NQ here, its up arrow was at 1 p.m., while AVGO's up arrow was at, what time is that? 15 minutes earlier.
15 minutes earlier. That's what I'm saying. So, sometimes, and one of the things is like, you'll start to spot AVGO and it'll trigger a 620 before the market does. And I'm still weary about buying relative strength in a quote unquote down market. I like to just track it. But the moment that the market triggers, right, then all of a sudden I'm like, which one was showing the most relative strength first? Oh, AVGO. And even Alec, I don't know if you ever watch him, but like, I put out the last night's watch list video and AVGO was like, I'm watching. AVGO is the number one semi I'm watching into today. But then sure enough, of course, it's like gapping up in the morning and they don't make it fun at all to try and own it or buy it the very next day because it's gapping up. So
you just gave me a wonderful thought process that I want to go back and back test. But out of all of the semis that are in play, which one bottomed first yesterday, absent any news or anything, right? And that one most likely is the leader. And just from the three I looked at, NVIDIA bottomed at 255 while AVGO bottomed at 245.
Yeah, and dude, here's the thing. Who's actually leading? Is it NVIDIA not at all-time highs, or is it AVGO who made an all-time high already?
Relatively speaking, it's AVGO. Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's not, it's higher.
NVIDIA's sloppy on the daily still, dude.
Yeah, it's just such a dude. This is an insane move for NVIDIA.
And you know what's crazy? I wanted it as a higher low setup at 99.50, and then we got a really subtle gap up that next morning. Oh, I had it on the watch list too.
I should.
I like the flat pivot. If you draw a flat pivot going through 115, I thought that was neat too. You'll see like the nice little flat pivot going through that 115 level, so that it would have been viable on what day is
100%
on 5/7.
Yep, I agree. Even the retest a couple days later, but
yeah, right there. And then you know what else looked like that? All the stocks that were breaking out over 4.9s high, the leaders took out 4.9s high first, right? Whether you're looking at if you look at Netflix, it was like the first one. It was actually the reason why Netflix was on my radar first, was because it was the first one already trying to break that 4.9 high, just days later. NVIDIA did not try to break 4.9s high for a month plus. Netflix tried to break it. When did Netflix try to break 4.9 high? Dude, on 4/15. A month before NVIDIA.
Netflix is such a great predictor of how tech is going to do and just the consumer in general, because it always reports like first. It's like first big tech to report. And that was the tell. Because if you look at the last few quarters, every time Netflix just crushes, I mean, obviously everything's just been going up, but I'll be curious to see the quarter where Netflix actually like gaps down on earnings and takes like, maybe a year-long break or something.
Here's the thing with Netflix is like, I think that name really speaks to the consumer, dude, because people will skip a Friday night dinner to make sure that the next 3 months of Netflix is paid for.
Bro, for sure. Brings them
the
more
minute that people start canceling Netflix, there's something's wrong. I've literally said it. They could raise prices again. I'm still not going nowhere.
Oh, for sure. I agree. What is it right now? When I signed up, it was $8.
Dude, I don't know. When I signed up, they used to send a DVD to my house.
True. Very, very true. Yeah.
So they stopped doing all of that, and now I got some laggy, Jake Paul fight instead.
How much is a Netflix subscription?
Oh, Strata. Well, I appreciate you for being here, brother. I am here every single day, 7:30 in the morning Central Time, 8:30 Eastern, and it ends in 3 minutes because I got to go live stream and get ready in the room. But I am here every single morning. So thank you for being here, and hopefully we'll have Alec. You're from Singapore. Hell yeah, dude. This is worldwide, and 2,800 people on today. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you guys for being here.
What's your record? Do you know what your record is?
Yeah, almost 5,000 actually. Damn. Yeah, almost 5,000, which is crazy. That morning, we were beating out Stock Twits and Skrelly.
Skrelly. I want to look at Rigetto.
Rigetti 1124. Higher the better on those things. The higher the better. Send them to the moon.
I mean, honestly, it's holding up so well.
It's not though. That one's not holding up well. The one that's actually holding up pretty well is QUBT, which is the fakest of the bunch on an offering, and actually they're slightly rolling over at the moment, but still gapping up. And then
IONQ, obviously.
Yeah, IONQ. There's something in the water yesterday with IONQ. I have no idea what it was.
That's what I'm saying, man.
But they did reject the gap fill level.
But it did help this left side peak, which has been like.
I know. I mean, yeah, just QUBT 36,000 in sales. Yeah, the kids who shovel my driveway in winter make more.
Like 10x probably.
They go around the neighborhood shoveling everybody's driveway, make more than 36K.
This monthly high volume close. It's
so disgusting how this thing is still holding up.
Yeah, you're right. Rigetto does look the worst. It's headed back to the
Yeah, $5.
The gallows, but I don't know. I still wouldn't sleep on it. Yeah, it will probably go back there eventually.
One of the scientists returned for IONQ. Oh, well, then I guess I should be super bullish.
They have a scientist that works for them. I know that they used to run their business out of a dilapidated daycare center. You look up at their last headquarters. Now they've moved into like one of those like Party City super centers and one of like the decrepit malls. Like that's and if you look at, you can tell they're bullshit. Just look at the corporate group photo of their C-suite. Just go look at it and tell me what you think. And then go look at Microsoft 1995 corporate C-suite photo.
Probably 10 times nicer.
Well, no, they're all just like looking like they're miserable because they're away from the keyboard. While they like their C-suite, I don't know what they're doing. They're financially engineering balance sheets, but regardless, the stock is holding up.
They're quantum engineering balance sheets, dude.
Yeah, they're doing something. They're playing Pong or something.
You know what it is? It's you got a bunch of people like me telling you how fake it is, and then it just keeps going higher because people are shorting it.
It just kind of tells you at the end of the day, it doesn't like eventually, yes. I mean, it has to revert to its value. But right now,
read this one. Jordan says QUBT uses the old Aerotine headquarters. This is from Wolf of Wall Street.
That's messed up. I love looking at what the headquarters of these shitcos. I found one. It was like it was Ebon, and I looked it up, and it was like on the
eBang, dude. I remember they're a crypto exchange.
Yeah. It was like on the 14th floor of some like apartment building in China, and it just like had the ticker symbol on the door, and that was like their corporate headquarters.
I love that, dude. I love that. That is hilarious.
Well, thanks for having me on, Ariel.
No, of course, dude. Yeah, thank you for being here. Somebody else mentioned Oscar as the final one. Really, really nice move. Now it just needs some digestion in case you didn't catch it from earlier. I would not have been a buyer yesterday. Anybody who did buy this thing, yesterday is probably in a little bit of pain. But, as it got back through its 200 and then rocketed higher on 618, looks absolutely fantastic. Definitely not one to be chasing right here without some digestion.
Agreed.
So anyway, Alec, as always, man, appreciate you. And I will be probably catching up with you in the next 25 minutes anyway. So
cool. All right. Bye,
thanks
guys.
again, man. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.